Charm Chats. Welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra and Kat. We are on episode 206. That Old Black Magic. Yeah, it aired November 11th, 1999. That Old Black Magic is a song from 1942. The music was written...
we sailed the ocean blue.
Well,
Nope. That's if you're dyslexic.
Yeah.
Because it was 1492.
Yes. The music was written by Harold Arlen, the lyrics by Johnny Mercer, and was first recorded by Glenn Miller.
Woohoo.
I'm not going to tangent about any of them, but...
But if y'all haven't listened to some Glenn Miller, you're missing out on some good big band shit.
Yep. I will put links to their wikis on the website.
For shiggles.
Because I just do that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are we just going to get straight into it today?
Yes.
Alright, so we start our episode. The first shot is of a small mountain or possibly just a very large rock.
It depends on what kind of animal you are.
Yep. It pans down to two guys walking, and they both look very dirty, like they've been outside for a while. The first guy is wearing light khaki pants, a white polo shirt, and a purplish-blue jacket, and he has a blue backpack on. Now, we don't have a name for him, but I'll tell you about the actor anyway, because I recognized him, kind of. The actor's name is Malik Pencholi. I think I'm saying that right. He was born in Dayton, Ohio in 1974. His first role was in 1998 on an episode of USA High, which I have mentioned before on the podcast. This episode of Charmed was his 7th role. He is best known for his roles as Neil during the first season of Whitney, Sanjay Patel on Weeds, and Jonathan on 30 Rock, as well as being the voice of Buljeet on Phineas and Ferb, and the voice of Sanjay Patel on the Nickelodeon animated series Sanjay and Craig. So he's played... Yeah. So he's played two characters named Sanjay Patel.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
That's a very specific kind of typecasting.
Very true. Very, very true. He is still acting, so that's cool. And he came out as gay in a November 2013 interview with Out Magazine, in which he discussed his partner of 9 years, chef and caterer Ryan Corvaya?
Corvaya, probably.
Corvaya? Yeah, I'm not sure how that one is said. They got engaged at the Taj Mahal in January of 2014 and were married in September of that year.
That is so extra.
Yeah.
Getting engaged at the Taj Mahal.
Hey, you know, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? So,
granted, it's not as extra as all those, like, public proposal thingies you see. Like, with the flash mobs and shit.
Yeah, you know, I think those are kind of played out.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, back to the show. The guy behind him is wearing dark khaki pants, a dark blue long-sleeve shirt under a brighter blue puffy vest, and he has a red backpack. So we don't have a name for him either, but the actor is Jeremy Rowley. He was born in 1978. This was his first acting gig, and he has appeared in a number of television shows and movies, including The Amanda Show. Yep, All That.
Aww.
In Gale We Trust, which is a show that aired from 2009 to 2011 and starred Elisa Donovan. And he's been on iCarly, which is where some people would know him from. He is a member of the improvisational and sketch comedy group called The Groundlings, based in Los Angeles, California, and he is still acting. He actually has a movie coming out in April called Speech and Debate, and I only bring it up because according to the credits on IMDb, Lin-Manuel Miranda will be in it playing a genie. Yeah. So, Blue Backpack Guy is holding a map that has seen better days, and they see a hole in the rock face, which they think is a mine shaft from the 1800s for some reason, even though it's a bit small. But it must be the right place because X marks the spot.
And goodness knows, humans never suck at reading maps.
Yeah. But so I decided to look up the idiom because, of course, I did. And I found some different uses of the phrase X marks the spot. There was a movie called X Marks the Spot in 1931, and then a remake of that movie using the same source material in 1942. There was a radio quiz and panel show in the UK that aired from 1998 to 2006 called X Marks the Spot, and an album by the all-female R&B quartet Ex-Girlfriend was called X Marks the Spot, and a song on the album Pariah's Child by the Finnish power metal band Sonata Arctica was called X Marks the Spot. So, just a quick thing that I found interesting about the movies from 1931 and 1942. Actress Helen Parrish was in both.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I'll put a link to her wiki on the website, of course, because there's no need to tangent about her. So, Red Backpack Guy gives Blue Backpack Guy a very large flashlight, and then they crawl inside, clearing spiderwebs as they go. And as they look around, I was greeted with the shuddering sight of a tarantula crawling out of a spiderweb-covered bucket. Still makes my skin crawl, just thinking about it. So, they see a skeleton on the ground, which Red Backpack Guy thinks is a bad sign.
No shit.
Yep. This makes Blue Backpack Guy call him a wimp, and I thought that was kind of mean. But then bats fly past them, scaring the Blue Backpack Guy. So serves him right.
Yep, yep.
Indeed.
And they literally see the writing on the cave wall, which makes Blue Backpack Guy bet Red Backpack Guy. Can we just call them Blue and Red?
Sure.
Okay, which makes Blue bet Red $10 that the gold they're looking for is right there. So Red's like, that's a little more my style, thinking the drawings are warnings, and we learn that Blue's name is Ryan.
Yes. So Malik, who's playing Ryan, in real life, his husband's name is Ryan.
It's a very common name.
Well, yeah. And
especially if you listen to Dear Hank and John.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a complete coincidence, but it's super cute.
Yeah.
It's a complete coincidence because I don't even think he met his husband until way after this.
So anyway.
But yeah. Anyway. So
Ryan tells Red to stop worrying, and then Ryan gets out a hammer and chisel and starts chiseling at the rock, as Ryans are wont to do.
Yeah, and the rock cracks, and then dust blows out of it right before it explodes. You know, because that's always what happens when you chisel into rock. And they get knocked to the ground, and then when the dust settles, there is a woman in a red dress that looks like it would be perfectly at home at a Ren fair, with a snake around her neck. Just standing there. So we don't know her name yet, but
both of us immediately
recognize her instantly.
From several things.
Yep, so I will tell you about her now, and we'll get her character name later. So, the actress is named Bridget Branagh. She was born in 1972 in San Francisco, and she has been acting since 1988, when her name was Bridget Walsh. I couldn't find anything about her getting married, so I don't know what the name change was, but whatever, doesn't really matter. Her first big acting gig was on the show True Colors.
Sorry, you gotta say it like that.
No, I don't. True Colors in 1992, but I know her best as Sasha from Kindred the Embraced. Now, I know I've talked about that one before, so I'll move on. She was on a few episodes of Angel, where she played Virginia Bryce.
The very ironically named Virginia Bryce.
Yeah. The girlfriend of Wesley Wyndham Price. And she was on a couple of episodes of CSI and a show called Over There. Most people, though, will probably know her as Pamela Moran on Army Wives. She's still acting, and her latest role was in a Lifetime movie called The Twin that aired in February of 2017. So until we get the character name, I will use the actress's initials and call her BB.
I like that.
Yeah.
BB is very excited to be free, and her eyes just pop on open.
Yep.
And she asks the boys, what year is it? And she's adopted this, you know, that fake, not quite British accent thingy to show that she's old-timey.
Yeah.
And, like, not 40s old-timey, because that would be a very nasally thing.
Yes.
That would be more like Katharine Hepburn-y. And she's gone all the way to, like, fake British Shakespeare and shit.
Yeah, it's a very non-British, wannabe British accent. Yeah.
It's a very affected tone. That is definitely affected, not effected.
Indeed. Gotta use the proper term. So when she learns that it's 1999...
She just verbally states, I've been trapped for 200 years.
Yeah.
And apparently I'm doing the 40s voice. Whatever.
It's a thing. You do it. It's all right.
And then immediately thinks out loud of her wand.
Yeah. The boys, of course, have no idea what she's talking about.
So she reaches into this tiny little leather pouch at her hip and gets some magical glowing dust and throws it at them.
Yep.
And we get a nice little, honey, I shrunk the kids sort of thing, except not family movie.
And not as good CGI. Yeah, it was interesting CGI. They shrink down to a very small size, which, I swear to God, the size of them changed from moment to moment.
Yeah.
Because it looked like they should have been, like, maybe 6 inches tall, and then she puts the snake in the bucket. She starts walking toward them, she kneels down, she picks them up, and as she picks them up, they're, like, less than an inch tall.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, with some even worse CGI, she feeds them to her snake.
Mm-hmm.
As you do, right?
Yeah. And I don't know how they got the snake to, like, open up or anything, but...
Oh, I'm sure they probably taunted it with food.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
But yeah, it's not at all realistic.
No.
And
But then she pulls out some more magical dust and sprinkles it on the snake and tells the snake to find her wand.
And then it turns into a bunch of glowy gold shimmers and just kind of floats out the cave entrance.
Yep. And then we cut over to Buckland's via exterior shot. It pans down to the sign, and we get Brown Suit Man walking past.
BSM!
Yeah, our lovely little time traveler.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've actually mentioned it on the podcast.
No, you haven't. You just texted me about it.
Yeah, I realized it when I was editing the second episode, that our little Brown Suit Man walks past the Buckland sign in 2009. And every other time we see him, it's 1999. So...
Which means... You know, it's sensible for someone to be still working at the same workplace in 10 years, but to not have changed wardrobe at all, methinks he doesn't have any job advancement.
Yeah, but he also hasn't gotten any older in that 10 years.
This is true.
So I think he's a time traveler.
Or a cyborg.
Some
kind of android.
There you go. Anyway, so inside, we see a banner reading KMAB Channel 10 presents What's It Worth? Hosted by Buckland Auction House. So it's kind of their version of Antiques Roadshow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they couldn't think of a cuter title.
No, they could not. And then we pan down to see a bunch of people walking around, including camera people. And we see Prue walk around the corner on the phone, talking to Phoebe. She is wearing a low-cut, V-neck, long-sleeve white shirt, tucked into a dark brown skirt, and a belt with a buckle that looks like a squared off uppercase G. It was a little weird.
Cool.
Yep. And she's also got the little diamond necklace on, but she's wearing a beaded necklace on top of it. Because why not? She actually looks really professional, and we find out that she's going to be on live TV and wants to know if whatever Phoebe wants can wait. So that explains the outfit. That's a live TV outfit.
Yeah.
It's still a little low cut, but it's much more professional than a lot of stuff she's worn.
I think Prue must decide her outfit based on number of people who are going to be in the building that day.
Maybe.
Like, that's the only consistency I can see with the level of professionalness of her outfits. Because when she's, like, not going to be seeing anyone, she wears a fucking ribbed tube top with sweater pockets. The fuck?
Yes.
Or like that weird see-through sweater she wore when she was getting attacked by Rex and Hannah.
Yeah. She has got some interesting work clothes.
Yeah, yeah. And then if it's like an auction of some old lady's dead husband's shit, you know, she's wearing funeral garb, so appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And for live TV, she's actually wearing appropriate clothing. Although, yeah, I think it must be number. It must not be importance of people, because the Japanese businessmen saw her in that damned sleeveless turtleneck crop top.
Yeah.
But anyway.
We cut to the manor, where Phoebe is looking out the living room window. She is wearing, dear God, a long-sleeve white shirt that has little silver circles on the collar, and a picture of a woman in a pink kimono holding a sun umbrella. Why?
90s?
Her hair is pulled back into little pigtails. Well, they're not really pigtails. They were like little loops.
Oh, loops.
Loops.
Okay.
They were like little, like, pig loops.
Okay.
Because it was, two of them would be pigtails. They were little loops, though. With white flowers. And we don't see the bottom of her outfit at this time.
And the emergency that Phoebe has called Prue about on this very important, very publicized day is that Dan's truck has just pulled up outside.
Yeah.
And then we get an insert shot of Piper and Dan macking on this truck.
Yeah, they're
Well,
making
sorry.
out-
Let me clarify. They're not macking on the truck. They are macking on each other, leaning up against the truck.
Yeah. They're making out next to the open passenger door of the truck. But it actually wasn't a truck. It looked more like an SUV to me. She calls it a truck, but what do I know about cars?
Maybe it's one of those trucks where they just put the cover on the back.
But it didn't look like that, because I've seen those.
I'd have to watch it again to be sure.
Yeah, it didn't look like a covered 4x4. It looked like an SUV.
Okay.
Just saying.
But yeah.
Yeah. So we can see that Dan is in a brown shirt and jeans, and Piper is in black pants and a black long sleeve shirt with light blue detail on the collar and shoulders.
And why is this an emergency? Our dear listeners might ask. Well, it's because Phoebe is a bit upset about the fact that they're making out so vigorously.
Yeah.
It's not that vigorously. They're
really,
like outside. They
yeah,
haven't
it really
even shut
wasn't.
the door.
Yeah. So, but she turns away from the window disgusted.
And Prue's like, dude, you called me about this? Isn't it good that they like each other?
Yeah. But Phoebe, of course, worries that Piper's moving too fast. And then we cut back to Prue, and she walks into a room where there's lots of people and cameras, and there's a table with auction items on it. And we can now see that her skirt is ankle length, and she's wearing brown shoes and carrying a brown purse. So I think, with the exception of the low-cut neckline, this is the most conservative we've ever seen her dress.
Indeed.
And that's including the black dress suit that she wore earlier in the season, because that was actually still a little low-cut.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the only other contender I can think is what she wore to that one Warlock's ordainment last season.
Yeah, but that wasn't to work.
True.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Prue tells Phoebe that Piper's a big girl and that it's none of their business. And we cut back to Phoebe, and Piper and Dan are still kissing outside.
And because Phoebe is the youngest, she does in fact think it is sort of their business.
Yeah. But Prue reminds her that Piper's just trying to move on from Leo. And then we cut back to Prue, and she sees an item on the table that looks like a wand of some sort.
Oh my gosh!
Uh-huh, and she picks it up, and there's also like a sound effect to go with it, so we are clued in that this is a thing to remember.
In case the watcher was not already clued in, because goodness knows you cannot trust the audience to pick up on any subtle details.
Yeah.
Not like the fact that the witch asks the snake to go find the wand, and we immediately cut to Buckland's. Like, gee, I wonder where it is.
Yep.
I'm putting my face on my hand. I'm putting my chin on my fist, guys.
Yep.
Gee, I wonder.
Indeed. So, Prue goes on to say that Dan's a great guy, and then a man wearing a very colorful vest and a backwards hat comes up to her saying that they're on in 5.
So he must be the PA or something.
Apparently he turns out to be the director.
Oh.
Yeah. So he doesn't have a name, he doesn't get a name, but I'll tell you about him anyway. The actor is Teddy Lane Jr. He was born in 1967 in Phoenix, Arizona, and his first acting gig was in 1995 in a Russian movie that I won't even try to pronounce the name of, but I'll put a link to the website for anyone who cares. And then he played a bouncer on the second ever episode of Buffy, The Harvest.
I remember him. He died.
All right. It's been a long time since I've seen Buffy, so I don't remember. Anyway, he's mostly done single episodes of stuff and has played some form of cop in many of those roles.
Mm-hmm.
He's still acting, and his most recent stuff is an episode of NCIS LA and a movie called Fixed.
Is it about a veterinary service for spaying and neutering your dogs?
No. It is, in fact, about a man who gets fixed.
Oh, I was so close.
You were indeed. So close. Anyway, Prue says goodbye to Phoebe and hangs up, and we cut back to Phoebe, and she's looking out the window, and she has seen that Dan and Piper have finished kissing and are now walking toward the door. So we can now see that she has paired her shirt with blue jeans that have holes and patches and a red string as a belt for some reason. It was weird. It was weird. And red shoes. So there's that. She starts heading toward the door when Leo orbs in behind her, startling her.
Proving that he has the worst timing imaginable.
Yep. He's wearing his signature white t-shirt under a green v-neck sweater that I think we've seen him in before, and a gray jacket that I know we've seen him in before. Phoebe, of course, wants to know why he didn't knock, but he seems to be in a bit of a hurry.
And of course, knocking would mean he would have orbed in just outside the door as Piper and Dan were walking up to it.
Yes.
So his normal courtesy would have exposed him, which makes me wonder if he didn't know what he was orbing into.
Who knows? Could be. Anyway, she says that it's not a good time and starts ushering him toward the hall for some reason. Like, yes, it's not a good time because they're coming in the front door. Here, go toward the front door. Yeah. I don't get it, but whatever. She tells him to orb back in an hour.
And he's like, I can't because the worst thing imaginable just happened. Excuse me, we're all still here, so clearly not.
Yeah.
Because we ain't fucking Alderaan, baby.
I don't get that reference.
Alderaan blew up. Star Wars?
Oh, yes, okay. Sorry, it's been a long day.
Like, the worst thing imaginable is if the Earth just spontaneously exploded. And since he's there, that obviously didn't happen.
Indeed. And then the door opens up, and Dan and Piper walk in, laughing. And Phoebe's like, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan and Piper see Leo, who looks upset. Piper sighs a defeated sigh, and we go to the opening credits.
As you do.
Indeed. Now, I think this is the first time that I did not need Soundhound or Shazam to tell me what the post-credit song was on the DVD. The song was Free by Paula Cole, and that came out in September of 99, so it was a brand new song. It had only been out for a couple of months.
Brand spanking new.
Yep. And I was a huge fan of Paula Cole back in the day. She was born in 1968 in Rockport, Massachusetts. Her single, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone, which was my absolute favorite song for a very long time, reached the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 in 1997, and the following year she won a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. And her song,
I don't want to wait for our lives to be over.
Okay, we don't have the rights for that.
Eh.
Her song, I Don't Want to Wait, was used as the theme song to the television show Dawson's Creek. Link to her wiki on the website as per usual. According to Soundhound,
Hashtag not sponsored.
the post-credit song on Netflix was Company of Strangers by Paul Carr from April of 2007.
Did they choose him because he has the same initials?
I don't know. I
Okay.
have no idea.
Sure.
Paul Carr is an English guitarist who first emerged during the mid to late 1980s as a member of the James Taylor Quartet. And prior to this, he worked as a London-based freelance musician, mainly on the London jazz scene. But the singer of the song on Netflix was a woman, so I did some more digging. The song is on an album called Down to the Ground by a band called River Air.
Okay.
Yeah. According to their website, riverair.com, and that's air with an E at the end of it, River Air is a collaboration between Australian-born songwriter and performer Caroline Loftus and British writers Paul Carr and Paul Nolan. And they take their name from the River Aire in Yorkshire, where the two Pauls were born. Now, I'm not going to go on a tangent on it, but I'll put a link to the wiki for River Aire on the website. But the River Aire is 148 miles long. That's 238 kilometers for those who use that. I just thought it was interesting.
Okay.
You know, it just struck me interesting as I was doing my notes.
Okay.
Don't know why, it just did.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so, post-credits, we get a shot of a fog-covered Golden Gate Bridge, which I think is one of the first times we've gotten a fog-covered bridge shot.
Possibly.
Then we get a shot of cars driving on the bridge, and then a city shot with the bridge in the background, and then a shot of people walking across the street, which I know we've seen before, and then a shot of traffic on the bridge with the truck carrying the logs, so I know we've seen that one before, and then a city shot that shows the Triangle Building with the Oakland Bay Bridge in the background, before ending on a shot through the tree with white flowers to land on the manor. Inside, Piper and Leo walk into the solarium, the lovely wicker room, and we can see that Leo is wearing light gray pants, and Dan's brown shirt is actually a button-down shirt that's covering a white t-shirt. Just saying. Piper, of course, tells Leo that he can't just orb in whenever, and he says that it's never been a problem before.
Bitch, you've never orbed into the house unannounced before.
Yeah.
You always orb in at the door and then fucking knock. So of course it's not been a problem before, because you're making it a problem now.
Yeah. Well, Piper says that things have changed.
Because now you're not using the fucking door.
Yeah. And then, looking over to Dan, Leo says he can see that, which Piper, of course, gets defensive about. Since Prue is at work, Leo says that they'll have to start without her, and that Dan has to leave because there's a magical problem that's happening. And he says it isn't personal, it's business. And they both look unhappy. And then we cut over to Dan and Phoebe hanging out by the door, and Dan has a lipstick mark on his cheek that no one else has noticed yet, which kind of interests me that Piper didn't notice it before they walked toward the house, but whatever. So Dan remarks that the handyman is around a lot, and Phoebe replies that old houses have a lot to fix. Dan questions why Piper looks upset, and Phoebe says that there are some things that he can't fix the way she wants. And then the clock chimes, and Dan looks at his watch and says he's late for a job, and he starts to leave. And that's when Phoebe notices the lipstick on his cheek and, like, wipes it off for him as he heads to the door. He opens the door and walks out and then stops, turns around and goes, "Are Piper and Leo?" And she's like, "You're late," and pushes him out the door. It was very funny.
I don't want to answer this question, so I won't. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it was very, very funny. And we can see that she's wearing a white bra through her shirt. Why are white shirts always so thin? I've never understood that.
Oh, I think I was at Ross, and I saw a white shirt that was actually pretty fucking thick, and it was a lady's white shirt.
Wow.
Like, I put my fingers under it, I couldn't really see my fingers. It was hefty, and it was a t-shirt. It was long, and I'm just like, this is not one of those, like, compression shirts for people who just want their rolls to disappear. This is like a legit fucking t-shirt.
Did you buy it?
No, it wasn't my size.
Oh. You could have made it your size. Add some color on the side.
Yeah, but I don't really like wearing white shirts.
Yeah, well.
Besides, then I would have just added, like, a stripe straight fucking down the center.
You could have done a lot with it. You could have, you know, puff paint on it.
True. Could have dyed it.
Yeah, you could have done all sorts of stuff to it. That's a tangent for another day. Okay. Anyway, Piper walks back into the foyer, calling after Dan before realizing that it's probably best that he left. And then Leo walks back into the foyer and says that they have to go and he'll explain on the way, but Piper's like, "No, you're going to explain, we're not going anywhere." And then Leo gives us some exposition. So we have exposition time. He says, 200 years ago, a good witch turned evil and started using her craft against innocents. Fortunately, she was tricked into a cave and entombed. But unfortunately, this morning, Tuatha escaped.
And Phoebe's like, who wouldn't go bad with a name like that?
Yeah, and we learned that no witch can kill her because she kills good witches. And then we have this, like, random push-in on Piper's face. It was weird.
Yeah, I don't understand half the camera work in this show.
Yeah, it was odd. And she wants to know who can defeat Tuatha if they can't. And Leo tells them about the Chosen One.
And here we get into my least favorite trope.
Yeah, that the Chosen One is a normal person who is born to use Tuatha's wand against her, and that he needs them to protect the Chosen One from Tuatha until the wand comes to him.
We have not yet gotten to why this trope sucks.
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute. So then we cut back to Buckland's with no exterior shot, and Prue is doing her thing on TV. She's talking to a woman named Betty, who is wearing a tan jacket over a white shirt and pearl jewelry. Betty is played by Pamela Kosh. She's only been acting since 1985.
Aw.
And she's been in a lot of single episodes of shows.
Yeah, I've seen her everywhere.
Yeah. She is what my mother would call a Valentine Jenneke.
Yeah.
Yeah. She hasn't done much in the past few years, but one of the funniest things is that she played the Queen of England on the show USA High.
Yeah.
That show just keeps coming back.
It really does.
It just keeps coming back. So, Prue is describing the wand that she picked up earlier, saying the design of inlaid garnets with pewter and ebony is distinctly 18th century European, and the facet-cut amber headpiece surrounded by these symbolic snakes suggests that it was an ornamental staff or ritual wand.
Me smell some writing bullshit.
Yeah, well, we learned that Betty bought it at a flea market for $15, and Prue tells her that at auction, she could easily get $5,000 for it. Betty is genuinely surprised by this, and then a man wearing all black walks up to them, saying that an item is only worth as much as someone is willing to pay for it, which is true.
He's probably a follower of Ayn Rand.
Okay.
Because he's a dick and he doesn't want to pay money. I'm extrapolating.
Yeah, because it's not that he doesn't want to pay money.
He strikes me as being an Ayn Rand fan.
Don't know. Don't worry. I'm annoyed with him.
Yeah.
For many, many reasons. This episode is just one of them. Anyway, when Prue asks who he is, he pulls out his business card, as you do, and says that he is Jack Sheridan from Sheridan Internet Auctions. If you own it, we can sell it.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I hate people with catchphrase.
Yeah. Jack is played by Lachlan Monroe. He is Canadian, and he was born in 1966. His birth name was Richard Laughlin Monroe.
No, it's said the same.
But it's spelled differently.
I know.
That's why I was saying it differently.
Yes, and I'm informing the people. It's said the same.
Yes. Anyway. He started acting after a serious sports injury ended his dream of playing professional hockey, which is apparently a dream that all Canadians have.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah. He's been acting since 1989, mostly with single episodes of shows, and he's still going strong. He has 5 things in post-production.
Oh, wow.
And he's in the new show Riverdale, which is apparently a show based off the Archie comics, but it has like a darker take on it. Now, I want to know who came up with that idea, because it sounds like an interesting concept. Hey, you know those Archie comics from the 1940s? What if we made a show about it? But you know, dark and gritty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will, of course, link to the Archie comics on the website, because why wouldn't I? Anyway, Prue tries to get the appraisal back on track, but since she can't guarantee Betty that someone will actually pay $5,000 for the wand, Jack offers her $1,000 cash. Prue questions if he has the $1,000 cash on him, and he asks if she wants to find out for herself. But she has the best line. She goes, "No need. I can tell there's not much there just by looking."
Yep.
Yeah.
Go Prue.
And then he does this like little smirk laugh thing, and Betty looks like she might crack a smile. And the fancy vest guy, our little director dude, laughs as quietly as he can. And then Jack assures Betty that he can have the money by the afternoon, and she agrees, so she writes her address down on a piece of paper, hands him the paper, and leaves. And our fancy vest-wearing director yells cut, like, instantaneously. Mm-hmm. Even though they were supposed to be live. Just saying.
We'll cut the feed.
Not the point.
I know.
And we learned that Jack wanted to be on the same stage as Prue Halliwell to give his startup company instant credibility. And that Buckland's apparently has a standing job offer for him.
Right. I totally believe that.
Yeah. And he says it looking her up and down, which made me want to punch him in the face. Prue, of course, says that he wouldn't like it at Buckland's because they don't lie or cheat. And he says that he doesn't lie, and then says that he has to go to the bank for the money for the wand. He starts to leave, but Prue, of course, has other ideas, and she uses her power to make the piece of paper with Betty's address on it fly out of his pocket, and she catches it. Now, why no one in the crowd of people around her notice a flying piece of paper is a la convenience for sure. Meh. Then we cut over to an exterior shot of a high school, which is Alexander Hamilton High School. So I did a quick Google search, and there is an Alexander Hamilton High School in Los Angeles. Their colors are green and white, and their mascot is the Yankees, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Link to the wiki on the website, as per usual. We see buses and kids on bikes and kids walking, and then we see Piper, Phoebe, and Leo walking down the sidewalk across the street. Piper is, of course, concerned that they should have waited for Prue, but Leo assures her that there wasn't time.
There's never any time when Leo needs them to do shit.
Indeed. And then we learn that the Chosen One is the 7th son of the 7th son.
And here we go.
Yep. And he is a teenage boy wearing jeans and a white t-shirt under a plaid shirt, and he's getting picked on because, as Phoebe so eloquently says, he's a nerd because he's seen doing a magic trick with a yellow ball.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Leo says that his name is Kyle Gwydion, and that he has no idea that he's the Chosen One. And Phoebe thinks that since he likes magic, they should show him theirs, and then we see Kyle walking down the sidewalk. Now, yeah. Kyle is played by J. Michael Ferguson. He was born in Oklahoma. No idea when. Couldn't find that anywhere. When he was 6, he was cast in a regional production of Peter Pan, and his first Hollywood role was in 1989. He hasn't done a whole lot of stuff, and he hasn't done anything since 2005. So, Piper and Phoebe go up to Kyle, who is very confused by them, but they don't have time to be subtle. So, Phoebe tells him that he's the Chosen One, and asks if he believes in real magic, and he blows them off and tries to walk past them, but Piper calls after him. And when he turns around, she freezes him, and then Phoebe runs over and stands behind him, and then he unfreezes and he starts, looking around for her.
Which means he's already ahead of 90% of the people that they freeze on this show, because he actually fucking notices.
Yep. And she's behind you, and he turns around and he seems all confused and kind of impressed. He's like, how did you do that? And she goes, magic. Want to know more?
The entire vibe I get from this is, a bit pedo.
Yeah.
Because he's a teenage boy, and there are these two older women going up to him and saying, hey, you want to see some magic? Come with us.
Yeah, I legit was like, and then he was never seen again, and he was buried in the basement. Like, it was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we cut to an exterior shot of a white house on the corner of the top of a hill. And it looks like a house that we've seen before.
Pennsylvania Avenue?
No. It looks like a house that we've seen before, but I can't remember which episode, and I don't know if I've taken a picture of it before. But It looks like a house that we have seen used as somebody else's house.
Yeah, it's probably one of those stock houses.
Yeah. But apparently this is Betty's house. She walks in and she places some cups of tea on a table.
And then a glowy ball of light
Yeah.
comes in and coalesces into a snake.
Glowy dust. It turns into the snake. She freaks out and picks up the wand for some reason as protection.
So she can bash it, but she won't get close enough to bash it?
Yeah. She starts backing into a corner of the room to get away.
So she can Franklin and bash it.
Oh, Jesus. Deep cuts. Deep cuts. Tuatha then appears with her arms outstretched and her red hair flowing wild. Betty seems shocked into silence to see Tuatha appear in her living room.
As you do.
As anyone would, yeah. And Tuatha gives praise to the snake and then calls for her wand.
Praise to the snake. That sounds vaguely euphemistic.
Well, she looks at the snake and goes, good job, or something. Like, it was, yeah. She puts out her hand, and the wand flies over to her, and the amber at the top of the wand starts glowing.
As you do.
Mm-hmm. Betty asks who she is, and Tuatha says, the last being you will ever see. And then she points the wand at her, and Betty screams, and we cut to the hallway where, a la convenience,
Prue is walking up.
Yeah, she hears Betty scream, and she starts heading toward the sound, and she says Betty, but it sounded like she said Benny, and I was very confused.
No, they were not talking about the doggy walk.
No, they were not. She uses her power to open the door, and we see Tuatha using her wand on Betty, who then disappears in a puff of golden smoke.
Screaming all the while.
Yeah. Prue uses her power, and Tuatha drops the wand, flies across the room, through the glass pane doors, and into a table. Now, I don't think this should count toward the FAQ because it's not at the manor. Yeah.
It definitely doesn't.
Yeah, I assumed it wouldn't, but... Yeah.
You assumed correctly.
Okay. Prue picks up the wand and then notices the snake and freaks out a little before running outside.
She kind of does this little hop jump.
Yeah, it was like, whoa! It was very funny. Then Tuatha stands up, she picks up her snake and puts it around her neck and says, talking to the snake, that they don't need to follow her because as a good witch, she'll find them. And then she pets the snake and we go to commercial break.
Which, I don't know why everyone freaks out. It's clearly a boa constrictor. They're not good with biting. They're just big and constricty.
Yeah.
And slow. Very slow.
They're very slow. One of my exes had a 2-foot boa constrictor as a pet and I used to wear her
2
around.
foot?
Yeah.
That's short.
Yeah, she was tiny.
Oh my gosh, she was a baby.
Yeah. I used to wear her around my neck like a necklace, around my wrist like a bracelet. Just walking around the house with a snake on my arm. It was great. It's really funny. I missed that snake. Not the guy who owned her, but I missed the snake.
No, cute little danger noodle.
Yes. So when we come back from the commercial break, we get an exterior shot of the manor, and we see Piper, Phoebe, Leo, and Kyle sitting at the cafe table in the wicker room. And they're trying to explain to Kyle that they're witches, he's the chosen one, and he's the only one who can defeat Tuatha.
So naturally, Kyle's like, you pulling my leg, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And he starts to walk away.
And Phoebe follows after him and tries to comfort him by saying that they understand what he's going through because they went through the same thing when they first found out they were witches.
But, and here's the key point that they think is going to convince him, he can't fight his destiny.
Yeah, and then he wonders if one of his brothers put him up to this because it has to be a joke. And he starts naming off his brothers, which I thought was kind of funny.
I guess they're 3 names or something.
Yeah. And then he grabs his backpack and he starts to leave. And we cut to the foyer.
Where, a la convenience, Prue comes in the front door with that damn wand.
Yeah.
And it glows as Kyle passes by it.
Yeah. Which Leo says means that the wand recognizes Kyle. And we have a moment where Prue is confused, but then she goes along with what's happening. And after being prompted by Phoebe, Prue holds out the wand to Kyle, who is, of course, hesitant. But he takes it, and as soon as he touches it, it glows again. He still looks a bit freaked out as the glowing stops, but Leo says the wand found him just like it was supposed to. And then Prue is like, attic?
Yeah.
And she goes upstairs, and Piper tells Kyle to find himself a snack in the kitchen, and then she and Phoebe go upstairs, and then Leo follows after a moment.
And they're all thinking, yeah, totally cool. Let's just leave this teenager in our house alone.
Yep.
Unsupervised.
Yep.
With this damn wand. And we don't know who or what is going to happen or come in.
Yep.
Like, someone might knock on the door. He might just
Tuatha might just
out.
show up. Yeah, who knows?
Kyle might just walk out with the damn wand and be
And
never
half
seen
their
again.
silverware, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Yeah. They just love leaving random strangers in their house. Anyway, so we cut up to the attic, and Prue is now trying to wrap her head around what's going on. And we're told, again, that it's Kyle's destiny to defeat Tuatha, not theirs, because there's no spell in the book, because, you know, they looked twice. Mm-hmm. But we all know how good they are at missing the stuff that's right in front of them. I mean, the return spell was there twice, and they missed it.
Yep.
Callbacks.
Callbacks.
So, they need to teach Kyle how to use the wand. Prue, of course, says they have to try to defeat Tuatha first, because she can't be like, we're the charmed ones, we can't just let this kid do it. No, we have to try ourselves first. Even
Prue
though...
has control issues.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't blame her.
And now with having Phoebe as younger sister.
Yeah. Leo, of course, is worried that she'll kill them, but Prue isn't so sure and says that they need to find Tuatha before she finds them. And then Phoebe and Prue start walking toward the door, and they ask Piper if she's coming. And Piper just kind of stares at Leo for a second before she's like, yep, and starts following them. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Of that, like, I love you, but I hate you, but I can't. Okay, fine, I'm leaving, you know?
Yeah.
So then we cut downstairs to the kitchen where Kyle is looking at the wand, and then Jenny comes in through the back door.
Just walks right on in.
Yep, calling out, hey, it's me.
No one knocks their fucking doors.
Well, because remember, Phoebe told her their house is open 24/7.
True.
Yeah. So,
But I'm pretty sure she meant in a, hey, knock sort of sense. And we're probably home. Don't just walk in unannounced because...
Through the back door for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, that was my question. Why did she come in the back door?
Because the back door is for friends.
Not touching that one. Anyway.
You started it. You said, why did she come in the back door?
Yes, but I meant nothing by it other than the words.
It says I did.
Anyway, she is wearing a black skirt and a top that's mostly black, but the shoulders and the tops of the arms were yellow. I will admit, I kind of liked that top.
It was kind of cute.
Yeah, it was a little Bumblebee-esque, but it was kind of cute.
Yeah, and she sees Kyle and is surprised but not, perturbed as to who this dude is.
Yeah, and then she does this, weird, I'm too young to be flirting, but I'm gonna do it anyway thing.
She's, fucking 13.
Yeah, and she asks his name. She's like, I haven't seen you around. What's your name? In that little, I'm trying to look older than I am kind of flirty.
Bitch, you were trying to look like you were 21 earlier.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. It ain't working now either.
Yeah. But so she asks his name, and then she asks about the wand, and he says that it's magic, and she says she doesn't believe in magic, and he is confused by this because he thinks that everyone believes in magic. And then we hear...
believe in magic?
Yeah, we don't have the rights to that.
Hey, young girl's heart!
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, we hear a bit of music play, and then Kyle lays the wand horizontally on the tip of his finger, and it glows and starts spinning around, and it's given some serious wind. And Jenny finds this very cool and asks how he's doing it, and he says that he has no idea just as Leo enters. And then Leo
has a little minor flip out.
Yeah, he kind of yells at Kyle.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Kind of, rawr. Kyle stops the one from spinning, and then Leo says that Jenny has to go, but he calls her your friend.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he's not supposed to know who she is until her line, where she says to tell Piper that her Uncle Dan needs to talk to her. Because, she says it to Kyle, too, which I think is very interesting. She tells Kyle to tell Piper.
I mean, she hasn't known the girls for that long. She doesn't know who they know. And I don't think she's met Leo before.
Yeah, I don't know.
Having not met Leo and not met Kyle and assuming, they're in the Halliwells' house. They must be friends of theirs, so let them inform.
Yeah, but as soon as Leo hears the words Uncle Dan, he, like, closes his eyes in a way that lets you know that he's trying to suppress a scream.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And then she does a flirty bye to Kyle, and then she leaves.
Walks back out the back door.
Yeah. And then Leo questions Kyle on his chosen one status. You know?
Really? Really?
Yeah, do you think you're not the chosen one now? Like, really, dude?
That's not gonna convince him, dude.
Yeah. And then we cut to the cave entrance, because can't stay in one place too long.
Nope.
And we've been in a house for way too long.
Mm-hmm.
And Tuatha is... Thank you, Blue.
Yeah.
Tuatha is in her little cave, and she moves a rock, and she finds a book, and she picks it up and blows dust off of it.
And this gives me a little bit of Hocus Pocus vibes.
Yeah, a little bit. Mm-hmm. A little bit. She blows dust off of it, and she opens it up, and there are spells written in it in that same over-embellished way that spells are written in the Book of Shadows.
Uh-huh.
And then she turns to a spell to disempower a witch.
And here's how we know she believes in magic, because it does require a young girl's heart.
Well, it requires a fresh human heart. It doesn't necessarily have to be a young girl. But see, here's my question, right? So she opens this book, and this spell is in that over-embellished script that all of, like,
yeah, kind of illuminated
that a lot
style.
of, yeah, that a lot of the spells in the Book of Shadows are written in.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder about this, because it's like, who wrote this book, and, like, why was this the thing that happened? You know, why was this the style that was used? Because then we cut to the attic in the manor via an insert shot of a spell in the Book of Shadows. But the first page that we see is actually written in what looks to be Italian, but I couldn't read it well enough to be able to use Google Translate. Mm-hmm. So I could not tell you what it is, though the first word translates to the word glue.
Okay.
That's all I could get.
Maybe it's about horse butchering?
Yeah, I have no idea. But then the page is turned to show a scrying spell. And again, it's in that over-embellished way that the spells are written. So I just have this, like, did all of the witches go to the same calligrapher? You know?
I guess.
Like, it's weird. Anyway, Piper asks what scrying is, because this is the first time that they've ever mentioned it. It won't be the last.
Oh, no.
But it is the
not
first.
Be the last.
So, since it is the first time it's ever been mentioned, and the first time they are ever doing this, we shall be starting a scrying total, which, since they haven't done it yet, is still technically at 0.
Mm-hmm.
So, Phoebe says that scrying is what witches use to magically find something or someone, and that they need a map, a piece of string, and a crystal.
And spoiler alert, they have various levels of success at this.
Alright. They head off in different directions, and then we cut to a guy walking along some scrub, wearing a camouflage shirt, jeans, a blue knit cap, and a large hiking backpack. And now, even though he doesn't have a name, I'll tell you about the actor, mostly because there's not much to tell. The actor's name is John Johnston. Yep. And
I actually know someone named that, but
Yep.
it's not him.
Yep. He only has 7 acting credits and doesn't even have a picture on IMDb.
Oh.
His first credit was a movie from 1968 called Terror in the Jungle, so I'm assuming that he was a kid in that movie.
Oh, yeah, it must have been. Because
And
he's
then-
not that old.
Right, and then his next role wasn't until 1988, so that's 20 years later, and then he had nothing until 1996, and he hasn't acted since 2001.
A Space Odyssey.
Indeed. Back to the show. I don't think he was in that.
I
though.
know, I know.
Yeah, back to the show. He is talking into the camera that he's holding, saying that he has been lost in the woods for 3 days. And then the camera goes into first-person mode, which is shaky and gave me a headache to watch.
Yeah.
But I'll get there in a second. He says that he got separated from 2 other people, that he's running out of supplies, and he's getting scared. And then he sees Tuatha and turns the camera on her, and then she's like, oh, did I scare you? And then the camera goes back to the non-handheld, and they have a bit of back and forth, and he says that he and a couple of friends were making a documentary
About the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, about the Blair Witch. Now,
Because that's always a great idea. They're idiots.
yeah, well, but here's the thing. So
Other
that,
than them being idiots?
yes. That movie came out in 1999, and it was one of the first found-footage style movies, which introduced the world to shaky cam, which is why I hate it, because now everything uses goddamn shaky cam, and I have to watch TV in spurts, because I can't do it. It's annoying, and I hate it. The movie, The Blair Witch Project, was about 3 people, Joshua, Heather, and Michael, who were in the Black Hills Forest near Burkittsville, Maryland. So why he and 2 friends were doing a documentary on the Blair Witch in San Francisco, California, who knows? Yeah. But, personally, the one thing that I find most brilliant about the movie was that it was filmed in 8 days on cameras that were bought at Circuit City, which is a store that doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh, yeah. I think it's like Best Buy.
Yeah, it was a much more...
It was a cross between Radio Shack and Best Buy, wasn't it?
Yeah, they basically just sold electronics. Like, you didn't have all the bells and whistles. They didn't sell DVDs or anything like that. It was just electronics. But the cameras were then returned to Circuit City at the end of filming so they could get their money back.
That's a budget.
Yeah, I thought that was an absolutely brilliant way of making their budget go further. But here's a crazy bit, right? As a marketing tactic, because they were trying to make it seem like it was a real thing, like it was found footage, the filmmakers placed flyers around Cannes for the film festival that were missing posters stating that the cast was missing. But all of the flyers were taken down the next day because apparently during the Cannes Film Festival, a television executive had been kidnapped.
Oh, no.
So the flyers were taken down out of respect. Now, the executive has since recovered safely. They are good. But it was just very funny. Oh, and the film uses the word fuck 154 times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They did make 2 sequels. The first sequel was Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, which I personally actually kind of liked better because it wasn't the shaky cam, like whatever. And there's one line in that movie that made me smile. The goth girl, somebody asks, well, if you don't really believe in the Blair Witch, why are you here? And she goes, I thought the movie was cool. And it was just one of those where I was like, yes, thank you. Thank you for having a sense of humor about your own shit. It was great.
Was that the movie where they're all, like, in a cabin and they have to, some shit happens, they have to recreate it through all of their memories and, like, testimonial or shit? Or what movie am I thinking of?
I honestly don't remember. Literally
Because I know there was one that was supposed to be, like, in the vein of Blair Witch, but without all the shaky cam shit, and, like, basically a bunch of horrifying crap goes down at this cabin thing.
It might have been.
And they have to talk to everyone to figure out what the hell happened. And there's a bridge across a gorge or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
It's just been a very long time since I saw it, and I only watched it because I worked at the video store and was like, okay, fine, I have to watch a movie. Fine, it'll be this one. But the second sequel was kind of a reboot.
Oh, man.
And that one actually, it was a direct sequel to the first movie and a reboot of the franchise that actually just came out in 2016.
Oh, yeah.
And it follows the brother of one of the characters in the first movie. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to. But I will link to the IMDb and the wiki pages on the website for anyone that wants to know more about these movies. The trivia section for the original movie on the IMDb is truly fascinating. Like, I could tangent just reading that trivia, and we'd be here for like another hour, because it was just truly, truly fascinating. All of the things that they went through. Like, 90% of the movie was shot by 3 cameras held by the actors.
Yep.
And the female actress brought a knife with her because she didn't trust the 2 guys that she was with.
Oh my
She's like,
gosh.
I'm stuck with these 2 guys in the woods for a week. Like, I don't trust it. Oh,
yep.
Okay.
I'm with her on that.
Apparently, I am going to tangent a little bit more. They filmed, the final day of filming was on Halloween.
Of course it was.
But only because they had problems with one of the cameras and they had to do an extra day of filming. That's the only reason. It was supposed to be shot in 7 days and they had to shoot it in 8 because there was a little problem with one of the cameras. It's just, there are so many little things where you're just like, this is truly, truly interesting. Too bad the movie was shit, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the show. Tuatha walks up to this guy, throws some magical dust at his chest, and then sticks her hand in.
Yep. And there's a bit of a shimmer CGI effect thing.
Yeah, and she says something about it only taking 15 to 20 seconds for a person to die after their heart has been damaged. And then she pulls her hand out of his chest, holding his heart.
Of course.
Yeah, and he falls to the ground, and she walks off holding his heart, and we get a shot from the camera point of view on the ground of her walking away.
Mm-hmm.
Because why wouldn't we? It's a lovely little nod to a truly terrible movie.
Yes.
Don't know why they decided to give a nod to it.
Because it's 1999 and it's all the rage.
Yeah, apparently. So then we cut back to the manor with no establishing shot, and we're still in the attic. And now Phoebe is holding a crystal on a string above a map. And the crystal moves to a place on the map, and Phoebe's like, we found her! Yeah.
I want to know how they managed to affect this, because, like, you can see it as it's kind of swirling around, it kind of, like, angles toward the spot where it's gonna land, like a magnet.
Yeah, they could have just done it with magnets, to be completely honest.
Yeah, but, I mean, maybe on the band that was around the crystal or something. I don't know. Like,
There could have been a very tiny amount of magnet at the bottom of the crystal that we didn't see.
That tracks.
Yeah. But so that brings our scrying total up to 1.
Yeah, and there's usually a little, like, sound effect right when the crystal is honing in on the spot. It goes like a woo kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a little whooshy sound. The other thing, they could have just had it sitting there and then reversed the footage. Mm-hmm. And so then we pull back to see that her sisters are standing next to her, and Prue has now changed into an ivory-colored open weave knit sweater with a rolled collar.
Yep.
And it's an open weave, but it doesn't look like she's wearing anything underneath it.
Well, she got really tired of being work appropriate.
Well, but see, here's the thing. She has to be wearing something underneath it, because we don't see her boobs, and we don't see a bra. So
pasties.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I haven't taken the pictures yet, because my life has been chaotic.
Well, do we get nips?
No.
Pasties.
Hold on. I'm gonna go to it.
Whatever it is, it's covering the nips. Oh, no, I can kind of see something.
Hold on. See?
I think she's wearing a nude bra.
But she's definitely not wearing, like, a shirt underneath
look at the skin tone at the clavicle.
Yeah.
And now look there. It's lighter. Much lighter.
Yeah,
I think she's wearing, like, a nude-colored bra.
Or a white bra.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really chunky knit.
Yeah, it's like a super, super chunky knit. It's like crocheted. Like it's an open weave.
Very open.
Yeah, it's a very open weave.
With a very uneven yarn.
Yeah. But I think that's like a style choice, I'm assuming. Though, I will admit, that would look really cute if you put like a colored shirt underneath it. It'd be super cute. I would totally wear it. So then we cut downstairs, and Kyle is trying to make the wand spin on his finger again. And it doesn't work, and it falls to the ground.
It's kind of like a white person trying to spin a basketball. He's never done it before.
But he has done it before. He just can't make it happen again. It was a fluke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kyle, of course, seems defeated, because that's the theme of this episode. And Leo picks up the wand, reminding Kyle that he made it work before. And he says that he doesn't know how he made it before, because before he was just trying to impress Jenny.
Because
why would anyone want to impress Jenny? Never mind, not going there. Leo then tells him that he made it work because it came from his heart. Gag me. Kyle still hasn't really...
It came from somewhere a bit lower.
Yeah. Kyle still hasn't really accepted his fate as being the chosen one, but Leo says that he has to just believe in himself. And he hands the wand back to Kyle, who looks like he's going to try spinning it again, just as the girls come in. And Prue has paired her new sweater with black pants, and Phoebe has added a gray-collared vest over her shirt for no apparent reason, and Piper has added a gray hoodie to her outfit. They tell Leo that they have found Tuatha, so they're going to go get her.
Go get her.
Yeah, Leo, of course, tries to stop them, but Piper throws his line back at him.
He doesn't try very hard.
Well, Piper throws his line back at him of, it's nothing personal, it's just business. And they walk to the door, and Prue opens it just as Jack is walking up, and he looks like he's about to knock. And he says that Buckland's must pay better than he thought because the house is so nice, which, again, made me want to punch him in the face. And Prue wants to know how he found her, and then he has the creepiest of moments. He says that he followed her scent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he tries to clarify this by saying he recognized the perfume she's wearing.
Yeah, but it was weird.
That's not any better.
Yeah, it was weird and creepy and like...
Why can't you just say, I asked your fucking assistant?
Yeah, because he's a creep. Mm-hmm. He's a creep.
He's a creep.
Yeah, I do not...
Which really is the... creepy guys is the theme of the episode.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Jack. And I know we're not rid of him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's spoilers. Anyway, I'm not a fan of Jack.
There are moments in his story that I don't regret having, but not because of him.
Yeah, well. So Jack is being weird and creepy, and then he asks Prue for his wand because Betty never called and he couldn't contact her because her address mysteriously fell out of his pocket. Prue, of course, asks if he's blaming her for something he lost, and then goes on a little rant about him being juvenile, before Piper reminds her that they need to leave. Jack says the wand is his, and then Dan shows up behind him. And he and Piper exchange hellos just as Leo walks into the foyer calling after Piper. And then he and Dan have like a terse moment of he's still here, and Leo's like, never left, actually. You know. And then Jack mentions the wand again, and Prue looks like she's about to say something, but Phoebe cuts her off.
Phoebe basically gets on her big girl pants, and she's like, Dan, Piper will call you later. Jack, there's no wand. Leo, keep working with Kyle. We're leaving. And then they all walk out the back door.
Yeah, but she doesn't call him Jack because she doesn't know his name. I just condensed that way.
Right, yeah.
But I just thought it was funny. She goes, you, whoever you are. Like, there's no wand. But yeah, so she like ushers them out the back door, leaving the boys in the front hall in the doorway. And we have a continuity error with Dan. In the shot that is just Leo and Dan, Dan's arms are folded in front of him, and in the shot of Dan and Jack, Dan's arms are down near his pockets.
You know, I'm not a huge fan of Dan. I would like to refer to him as a continuity error.
Yeah, well, you know, he's not a continuity error, he's just a waste of time.
This is true.
Yeah.
He's a twat. Total waste of time.
Anyway. Dan, of course, then gets into this little back and forth with Leo. He goes, you know, don't you have some other house to repair? And Leo just smugly replies, no. And then we hear the back door close. And
Jack gives a nice little smirk.
Yeah. And then we cut to that first view of the small mountain, whatever.
Big rock, small mountain.
Yep.
It's California.
It is indeed. And we
they ain't in the Sierra Nevadas.
No, they are not. We pan down to see the girls walking, and they find the cave entrance because, you know, that's exactly where the scry led them, apparently.
It's super easy to find this entrance.
Mm-hmm. They walk up to it, and Prue says that since Tuatha only knows about her, that she should go in first and they should follow after a minute. And they all seem good with that, so Prue climbs inside the cave, and then we cut inside, and she has like this big red maglite flashlight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it's got the smallest beam, like, ever.
Well, she knows what she's looking for. She doesn't need a whole lot of light.
Yeah. So, as she's walking in, bats come flying past her and they scare her. And then she sees the skeleton. Then she sees some bones and a heart sitting on a rock.
Mm-hmm.
And Tuatha comes into frame behind her, thanking her for not keeping her waiting. Prue turns around and is like, you know, and tries to use her power, but it doesn't work because Tuatha cast a spell to remove her powers. Now, here's the thing, is she goes, you know, thanks for not keeping me waiting, because good witches are always predictable. And that's when Prue tries to use her power. And then Tuatha says, like I said, I cast a spell to take your powers. You didn't say anything other than we're predictable. Like, what?
That might just be a continuity error. Like, they cut a line?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird, but, like, not in a good way weird. I don't know. It was odd. So, yeah, Tuatha says that she cast a spell to remove her powers, and she goes, you know, you weren't betting on that, were you? And then Piper and Phoebe walk in, making their presence known by being like, you weren't counting on her sister witches. And then Tuatha, like, throws something from her belt at Piper and Phoebe, which makes them get flung through the air, and then they fall to the ground. And Prue runs over to them to make sure that they're okay. And Tuatha... Oh, hi, Blue.
Hi, Boobers.
Hi. Tuatha says that she'll be ready for 3 witches next time, and then disappears with a sprinkling of glowy gold dust, which Phoebe thinks is cool, and that makes Prue and Piper look at her, and she's like, what? It was.
Yep.
And then we see that Piper has a cut on her forehead, and we go to commercial break. Hi, Blue. You want to come over? Hi, who's the cutest? Yes, you're the cutest. Oh, thank you. Thank you for kisses. Thank you for kisses. So when we come back from the commercial break, we have an exterior night shot of the manor, and in the wicker room, Leo is working with Kyle to try and get the wand to work.
And they're having some major struggle bussin'.
Yeah. And Leo's like, you have to use both hands, which I thought was kind of funny. And he grabs Kyle's hands and, like, places them on the wand. It was...
Yes, use both hands on your wand, gents.
It was just a little creepy. And we get this, like, weird close-up shot of Leo's face from, like, a low angle. It was odd. The camera angles in this episode are just weird sometimes. And then Leo tells Kyle to pretend that he's evil and will him away, which I thought was hilarious. It's like, yes, I am an angel. Pretend I'm evil. Like, that's not going to work. Hi. Thank you, boo. Kyle tries, but of course, nothing happens. And then he calls Leo Obi-Wan and tells him to give up. Now, if you don't know who Obi-Wan is, I feel sad for you and your non-Star Wars knowing life. But I will link to the wiki on the website. I'm not going to tangent about Obi-Wan.
No.
Because I've already had a moment in this episode where I had
if you
forgotten
start
what Star Wars
tangenting
was.
about Star Wars, I will start tangenting about Star Wars. And then we'll be here until the next Star Wars movie comes out.
Yes.
In December.
Yes. Thank you for Kisses Blue. And I've already had a moment of forgetting Star Wars things in this episode.
Yes, Boobers?
Hi.
What's she doing?
Oh.
Cutie. Cutie.
Anyway, so Leo tells him that he just needs to believe, but Kyle just can't seem to believe in himself. So he hands Leo the wand, and he starts to walk away, and Leo tells him not to give up because innocent people are going to die.
Because that's exactly the kind of pressure you want to put on a teenager.
Yeah, and that seems to get Kyle riled up.
And then Leo does that thing that people sometimes do, where they need to motivate someone, so they decide making them angry is gonna work.
Yeah, because Leo gets all excited because, Kyle is getting mad, which means he's showing some emotion other than indifference.
He was also showing annoyance.
Yeah, but that wasn't working, apparently. So he throws Kyle the wand, and he baits him with talk of being the forgotten one instead of the chosen one, which gets Kyle to get really mad. And then the wand glows and makes Leo go flying through the stained glass window, which, again, we have said that windows are not furniture and therefore do not count.
Correct.
So we hear some dogs barking outside, and then Leo orbs in behind him, and he's like, not bad. And then the girls come running in, wondering what the crash was. Leo says that it was training, and Prue is worried about how much it's going to cost to fix, because she's all about the money.
And then Piper very astutely chimes in with, we know who's going to be fixing it.
Yeah, she has a lovely little sassy moment. And then she questions, what would have happened if someone had seen Leo. And then Leo has a sassy moment where he goes, someone like neighbor Dan. And then, of course, he sees the cut on Piper's forehead and drops the jealousy act. He's like, are you okay? And she's like, it's nothing. And then Prue says that Tuatha was ready for her because she had stripped her power. And Piper says that she disappeared before she could freeze her and that they were lucky to get out of there. Prue wants to know why Leo is so eager to send Kyle up against an evil that they couldn't defeat. And Leo basically says again that Kyle's the only one that can defeat her. But Kyle, of course, isn't having it. He starts to leave. Leo tries to stop him, so he turns around again, and he gets mad and says they've made a huge mistake. And then he grabs his backpack and throws the wand on the couch, and he leaves. And Phoebe, being Phoebe, is like, I hope he doesn't tell anyone we're witches. Because that's the thing to think of right then.
Phoebe never knows what to focus on.
Yeah. Prue wonders if black magic can strip away powers, then surely white magic can do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe nods because she knows the Book of Shadows better than anyone.
And goodness knows that they never find what they're actually looking for, so something else they might not be looking for could be in there. Who knows? We've only had this book for like a year, guys. I've read it 100 times. I can't remember every page.
Yeah. Phoebe nods. They walk away, leaving Piper and Leo in the wicker room for a moment before Piper leaves to join them. And then we cut to a guy and a girl walking through some trees and grass and scrub and all that stuff. The girl is in a red shirt under a red sweater, jeans, a light gray knit cap that doesn't quite fit her head, and a very large hiking backpack, and she is carrying a camera with a light on it. The guy is wearing a black shirt under a plaid shirt, jeans, a large hiking backpack, and he is carrying a microphone. The girl is calling out for Joshua, and the guy is like, I'm telling you, he's dead. So I'm assuming her name is Heather, and she's like, he's not dead, Michael. So now we have the name of the 3 people. So the guy we saw earlier talking about the Blair Witch was Joshua, and these two are Heather and Michael. And as I mentioned when we tangented about Blair Witch, the characters in the movie were named Joshua, Heather, and Michael. Yeah.
Maybe they were doing this because their names all fit. And they're like, it's perfect!
Yeah, no, it was not a coincidence.
No, I know.
No.
But also, like, okay, so they're just walking around randomly. They're completely lost. And the girls have managed to get to this spot so quick.
Huh?
Like, okay, so they're wandering around in the vicinity of this cave. They're in some nature park or something.
No, they're not necessarily near the cave.
Okay, well, how do you get, like, the park where this cave is not that huge.
Okay.
Like, so how can 3 people be lost somewhere in this park without ever, like, finding other hikers?
Well, they're in the woods. They've been out there for days. Dude, the fact that they're trying to find the Blair Witch in California and the Blair Witch is from Maryland, they're not exactly the brightest of people.
This is true.
Just saying. Anyway, Michael is played by Matthew Senko. This was his first gig, and he only has 6 credits, the last of which was in 2006. He doesn't even have a picture on IMDb. Heather is played by Liv Bond. This was her first gig of 4 credits. The other 3 are Dino Shark and Sharktopus from 2010. And her last one was a bit part in the 2014 movie Cesar Chavez. But at least she has a picture on IMDb.
Woo.
Yeah. That's all I know about them. It's all that really matters. They're not in here for very long. Tuatha appears behind them, asking if they're looking for the Blair Witch.
Indeed, we are, madame.
Mm-hmm. And after some quick close-up shots of their faces, they scream, and then it becomes an echo of a scream, and we cut to later on in the cave, where Tuatha is saying a spell while doing some hand motions over the snake, who is resting on the rock with the bones and 2 hearts. Tuatha is casting a spell to take away all of the girl's powers, and then she puts some magical dust on the snake, tells the snake to find the wand, and it disappears into glowing gold. And then we go to an exterior shot of the manor. In the kitchen, Piper is dabbing the cut on her forehead with a wet towel when Leo comes in and asks if she wants him to heal it. She says no because it gets all confusing when he touches her and she doesn't want to be confused anymore. And she's like, you do your job, I'll do mine. And then he reminds her that this is his job.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point is, I am here to protect you, I am here to make you better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he walks over, and it looks like he's about to, make her a little more confused by kissing her, and then he just heals the cut.
Yeah. She thanks him, and he kind of lets it sit for a moment, and then he's like, he'll never understand you the way I can. And she's like, yeah, I know,
really
but...
Really bitch move there.
Yeah, well, he's trying to play the I'm not trying to be jealous, I'm just saying I'm better for you.
He's trying to play the jilted partner.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which isn't working because he's never fucking there. They don't have a partnership because he's never there. And she states it. She's like, yeah, I know. But at least he can be there when I need him. Yeah. Referring to Dan.
Indeed. And then she walks away, leaving him to sulk in the kitchen by himself.
As is his role.
Yep. In this episode, at least. So then we cut to outside, where Kyle is walking down the sidewalk. And then Dan's car drives past, and Jenny notices Kyle and waves at him, and gets Dan to stop the car, and she's like, it's one of Piper's friends,
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I'll be home in an hour. And he's like, school night. She's like, okay, half an hour.
Which, it's still light out, so how late can it be?
Yeah. And then she gets out of the car.
Especially since, everyone's wearing sweaters, so I'm thinking it's, winter-ish?
Well, this was in November.
Yeah, there you go.
So
in November, if it's still light out, it's probably 4 o'clock.
Yeah. So she gets out of the car, and we can see that she is wearing a black jacket over a shirt. The shirt is maybe some shade of orange or pink. It was really hard to tell because of the lighting. And I couldn't see her legs, so I'm assuming jeans. Just because.
Yeah.
Jeans.
That's a safe bet for a teenager.
Yeah. So she and Kyle chat for a bit. And she convinces him that if the Hollywells think he's special, that he probably is.
Mm-hmm. He does a really good job of being vague about how he knows them.
Mm-hmm.
And, not giving away their secret, which he was never expressly told to do. So, hey, Kyle, good one on ya.
Yeah, good on ya. So he thanks her, And then he leaves her to go running off back toward the manor, which makes me question, where were Dan and Jenny going? Because they were headed away from the house.
Church?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Though, according to IMDb, this episode is the last time that we have Karis Paige Bryant appearing as Jenny Gordon.
What?
Yeah, according to IMDb, she was written out of the show because the writers realized that she served no real purpose.
You don't say.
And if this is true, we are all thankful for their wise thinking. But
we're all thankful for whoever came in at this point who went, hey guys, you know what? She makes no sense. Do we need her? I don't think so.
Yeah, we really don't need this random child, like, ever.
Mm-hmm.
She should be at school anyway.
Yeah, like, good thought, but it was clearly done to, like, entice younger viewers to get in on the show. You know, kind of like how they had Wesley on TNG.
Shut up. Wesley was perfect.
No. You misunderstand me. I love Wesley.
Okay.
But the intent of him was to be there for the younger viewers, and then they didn't bother writing shit for him. Not good shit, anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that's part of the problem is they wrote shit for him.
Exactly. I've had this debate many a time with people.
Yeah.
There was the one jackass who came onto my OkCupid and messaged me saying that Wesley Crusher was a piece of shit. And I'm like, excuse me.
Goodbye now.
Well, no, I tried to be generous. I'm like, no, what he said was that Will Wheaton ruined TNG. And I'm just like, hang on a second. Did he ruin TNG, or did they give him a part and then give him shitty writing to do and he did the best job he could with it? And he's like, nah, he ruined it. And then later when we were talking, like, because I don't know what I was doing, but eventually he's just like, wait, you're probably one of those feminists, aren't you? And I'm like, okay, bye-bye.
Like, yes, and you're
It was
gone.
within another, like, 3 exchanges that happened, so I'm just like, goodbye. And then later I blocked straight people from seeing my profile.
Nice.
And it's been a lot calmer.
Nice.
And many fewer insults.
Yeah.
In fact, no insults.
Good.
Ah,
Lovely.
very.
Yes.
Though one weird 40-something-year-old lady who has 2 kids in college, like, hardcore hitting on me. It's like, I'm not comfortable with this.
Well, you know.
I mean, you see my age range, and you're going after 18-year-olds, lady? Like, that's a bit predatory. Please don't. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you know. I have many a thought on OkCupid. We're not going to get to them today.
No, we're not.
No. You and I should just have a tangent show.
Oh my god.
Just pick a topic and tangent and go crazy. It'll be like a 4-hour podcast. It'd be great. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so this is one of those where, like, if we didn't know, and I'll be completely honest, I don't remember most things from here on out. There are little bits and pieces of episodes that I remember, but for the most part, we are now past season 1, and therefore my memory of this show is going to go downhill quick.
Nebulous.
Okay.
That's the term. Your memory of it is nebulous.
Got it. But so my headcanon for why we no longer see Jenny is because of this moment. Now I know that it's a complete headcanon that would not fit the
I think they
continuity.
vaguely explained it at some point.
Well, no, and I honestly don't remember. They might mention, oh, she's at school, or
no, I think
she went back to her parents.
Yeah, I think she went to Saudi Arabia to live with her parents.
Yeah, like whatever. I don't know what the reasoning is. We'll get there when we get there, if and when they tell us.
They do.
But
I'm fairly
for me, the thought that I had was this moment. Kyle thanks her and then leaves to go running off, and we never see Jenny again. And it's like, did she get kidnapped and killed? Because like legit, I was like, we never see her again after this moment. Like, there isn't even a goodbye scene. She just never shows up again.
That would have been a plot point.
And
though.
like, I know, and that's why I say it's like it wouldn't fit in the continuity because they would absolutely be like, Jenny's missing. Oh my god! But it was just one of those.
Also, this
things.
isn't the kind of show where there would be a character who has a demise that is not related to the subject matter of the show. Like, this ain't Buffy.
Yeah, no, definitely. But it was just very funny to me because I was just like, you know, it would have been a great way to get rid of her is Kyle left her randomly because her uncle was like, oh, you kind of know this guy because he's friends with Piper, and then I never see you again. You know, like, It was just funny. And
yeah, but we all know stranger danger is largely a myth.
True. Most of the time it would be people that you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means that Dan's gonna think it's this kid.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh jeez. Anyway, back to the reality of this show. We cut to an exterior shot of the manor through a tree with no leaves. Like, it's a weird shot, as this tree should have had leaves.
Even in November.
Yeah, especially November in California. But whatever. In the living room, Piper walks past the fireplace, and then Tuatha's snake appears, but Piper doesn't see it. And then we get a POV from the snake, seeing Piper standing by the windows. And then Prue and Phoebe walk in, and Piper walks away from the window, but not out of view of the snake, because we keep getting snake POV. And Phoebe says that they found a spell, but it requires a human heart. And, you know, they're using theirs.
Yeah, so they basically have the same spell as Tuatha.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what we're led to believe. And Piper says that they can use hers because all it does is get her into trouble. And then Leo comes in and yells snake, which Piper takes the wrong way. It's like, you're calling me a snake? And he's like, he points down and he goes, no, snake! And like, you know, points at the snake.
Leo, use your words.
Yeah.
Hey, look, a snake.
No. Or at least point the first time. You know, if you had pointed to the ground and was like, snake, they would have seen where your hand was and she wouldn't have been like, you're calling me a snake? Mm-hmm. There's so much in the jealousy situation that is happening in this episode. So, the second time he points, he yells snake. Piper finally sees the snake, freaks out, and runs over to the other side of the room and then jumps up onto the couch, which I thought was kind of funny. And then...
Pipes. Don't you know? Snakes can get up on that stuff.
Yeah, well...
Well, I was about to say, they're not mice, but mice can jump.
True.
Whereas, remember, you've seen that video of the python who just opens a door and then, like, smacks on the floor?
I think so.
Because there's the turny handle, and they're just like, we had to start locking the door. So, I forget what the snake's name was, but it was a girl. Mm. And so when the snake comes out and smacks on the floor, they're like, oh, good girl.
Nice. Anyway, Prue goes over to the fireplace, grabs one of the tools, and cuts the snake.
Shovel, in fact.
Yeah, and cuts the snake in half. But seeing as it is a magical snake...
A magical worm snake.
Both of the halves then turn into snakes. So now we have...
Everything is snakes.
2.
Which is very different from Everything is Awesome.
So different, in fact. Mm-hmm. Unbelievably different.
Everything is Python.
Everything is boa. Okay.
Everything constricts you when you step on it. No, it's everything constricts you to make its next meal.
There you go. Anyway, so the 2 halves turn into 2 snakes, and Piper tries to freeze them, but it's not working because Tuatha has gotten rid of their powers, though they don't really know that yet. And then we cut to outside where, a la convenience, Kyle has just shown up at the front door.
And he hears Piper yelling, so he runs inside.
Because the front door isn't locked, because why would they ever do that?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Yeah. And then Leo grabs the wand and throws it to Kyle, who catches it, and he yells, Die! And then the wand glows, and the snakes disappear into puffs of gold.
And he's got like a good facial expression on him at that point, too.
Yeah. So the snakes disappear into puffs of gold, and Prue thanks him, and Phoebe pats him on the shoulder, and then we go to commercial break. And when we come back, we get another exterior shot of the manor. And then the girls are in the dining room, where there's potion stuff all over the table. And Phoebe points to 3 small vials on the table. And she says that one is a potion to induce sleep, another repels an evil threat, and the clear one puts out a fire, which turns out to be water. It was a cute gag.
Yeah.
It was a cute little moment.
Rule of 3.
Indeed. Piper then asks about a courage potion, but Phoebe says that she remembered wrong, that there isn't one. And Prue says that they'll have to find a way to make Kyle feel more courageous without magic, and she picks up the vial with the water in it.
So they're gonna pull a Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Although, before Harry Potter.
Indeed.
And also, like, not with some Goldie-looking thing.
Very true. Phoebe grabs the other 2 vials, and they walk into the living room. And Kyle and Leo both think that Kyle is as ready as he can be, and then Tuatha appears in the living room, because why wouldn't she? Phoebe throws the sleeping potion bottle at her feet, which only makes Tuatha yawn.
Yeah. She does this really cute, like, oh, you thought that would make me tired?
Yeah. And
she goes... little play acting.
Yeah, and she goes, that's not a sleeping potion. This is a sleeping potion.
That's not a knife.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a knife.
Yeah. And so she throws her own little sleeping potion at Phoebe's feet. Phoebe tries to resist, but she falls to the ground, and Leo goes over to help her.
Very hard.
No. Leo goes over to help her, but
And
he
then
falls
gets the
asleep too.
fumes.
Yeah. And on his way down, he hits his head on a piece of furniture. Then Tuatha throws something at Prue and Piper, and their feet get this CGI treatment. I'm not sure what is actually happening.
Ice or something?
Yeah, it's like their feet turned into white outlines of themselves. So I'm assuming that she's anchored them to the ground or something.
Yeah.
But it was weird. The transcript that I used said that their feet turned into water, but it didn't look like that to me.
No, it wasn't.
No.
That would have been a very different reaction from them.
Yeah, it was just little white outlines on their feet, and they looked like they couldn't move. Who knows? Whatever. There'll be a picture at some point on the website, eventually.
At some point.
Yeah. I've been trying to be oh yes, I'll take pictures while I'm taking notes, and it just doesn't.
No,
it just doesn't
happens.
work out. So, anyway. Then Tuatha asks for her wand, which leaves Kyle's hands and floats through the air.
She, puts on extra vocal affect. She's like, give me my wand.
Yeah.
It's a bit nuts.
It is a little bit. It floats through the air toward her, glowing as it goes.
Good wire work for whoever's the prop master.
Mm-hmm. And she thinks that he's not much of a chosen one because the last one could entomb her. But now she's going to entomb him,
Honey, I think you want to kill him. I don't think entombing him's gonna do much.
Yeah, well,
Because, magical entombment, you're alive.
But, that might be what she was going for.
Yeah, but, I mean, come on,
Who
why
knows?
would you risk having the chosen one defeat you later? She clearly didn't go to Villaingrad school.
Yes.
Probably because none of them were established in the States back then. I don't think the first Villaingrad schools came about until the 19th century, so.
Okay. On that note, Piper tells Prue to throw the courage potion, and Prue throws the bottle of water at Kyle's feet.
It's clear that this thing is nothing, because when it smashes, when the other bottles smash, they do little puffs or something.
Yeah.
When this one goes down, it's just smash.
Yeah.
They don't
was a
bother
smash
doing
and
any
splash.
effects to it.
Yeah, it was a smash and splash.
Yeah, and then Tuatha's like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's no courage potion.
Yeah. Prue then tells Kyle to get the wand, so he wishes for it, and he puts out his hands.
Vocally.
Yeah,
Wishes
he goes,
for
I
it.
wish for the wand. Yeah.
Honey, saying your wishes out loud means they won't come true.
Yeah, well, He puts out his hands, and the wand starts to float to him, but then Tuatha calls for it and puts out her hands, and it stops and starts floating back to her, and then it hovers in the middle between
They're playing
them.
tug of war.
Yeah, as they're both trying to get it to go to them. And Piper tells Kyle to believe, and then the wand finally floats over to Kyle, much to the surprise of both Tuatha and Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
And then Kyle wishes her gone forever.
Haha.
Tuatha screams, and the wand glows as Tuatha starts going all wibbly, and then
Then she goes wobbly.
poof. Yep.
She goes wibbly, she goes wobbly.
Yep.
She does not go timey-wimey.
She does not. She goes poof in a puff of gold.
Yay.
And we see Kyle holding the wand as the glow fades, and we can see that the amber stone on top of the wand has gotten smaller, like it's deflated.
And it's cracked.
Yeah. Prue and Piper's feet then go back to normal, and Piper goes over to Leo, who we can now see has a large gash on his forehead. She helps him up into a chair, and we glance down at Phoebe, still asleep on the floor, and she makes some little noises and rolls over like she's having a good dream. It was kind of cute. Piper then offers Leo some ice, but he shuts her down, and he says that he finally understands that she deserves a normal life, or at least as normal as she can get, which he knows that he can't give her, and that's probably why witches and whitelighters aren't supposed to fall in love.
I don't think that's why.
Well, and then he orbs out without saying goodbye.
Ugh, dick.
He's not a dick.
He's being a dick.
No.
Even when he's trying to be I know, you need a normal person, and then he just fucking leaves.
I think it was more he was trying to avoid an awkward situation. So it was...
Bitch, their life is an awkward situation.
Well, yeah, but so he's not being a dick, he's being a coward.
Is there much of a difference?
Yes.
There can be. But sometimes they overlap.
Hmm.
It's a very thin sliver of Venn diagram.
Yes. Anyway. Prue walks up to Kyle, and he's looking at the wand, which is broken because it has now served its purpose.
Mm-hmm. And Kyle's like, it was because of all the courage potion. And Prue's like, honey, that was absolute bullshit.
Yeah, that was totally a lie. You did that all by yourself. And then Kyle, of course, realizes that no one would believe him if he told them what happened. But Prue says that he just needs to believe in himself and he can make change happen, because who knows what his new destiny is. Gag me.
With a spoon.
Indeed. And then we come to our final scene of the episode. We get an exterior shot of P3, and neither the now appearing sign nor the second P3 sign are on the wall outside.
Oh, people.
Yeah.
Those set designers.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the set designers. It's whoever's setting up these sets.
Well, no, it's the continuity people who are like, yeah, no one will notice that a sign that was there isn't there anymore. Guess what? Anyway.
They don't have the budget for a continuity master. We've well established this.
Yeah. So, the girls are walking down the stairs. Prue is now wearing black pants that go just below her knees, a black diamond-cut top that is held on by string, and that little diamond necklace.
So she's very diamondy.
Yeah. The shirt was kind of like the handkerchief shirt, except it was... Yeah, except it was
Except
just...
it wasn't fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and it was much more diamond than the handkerchief style that Phoebe was wearing, because the handkerchief style shirts that Phoebe wears are more triangle-y at the bottom and like pentagonal at the top. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. Piper is in a top and skirt combo that looks a bit yellow in certain lights, but I'm not sure exactly what color it was supposed to be. The top is spaghetti strapped, and the skirt has a sheer ruffle detail at the bottom. Phoebe, to go with her kimono shirt from the earlier part of the episode, is in a red Chinese-style shirt and red skirt. She's just sticking with all of the Asian countries. We learn that Prue has called Jack to give him the wand, but Phoebe wonders if there was a different motive, because apparently she thinks that Jack is cute. But Prue is like, yeah, he's a jerk. And now she gets the line of, this is business, it's not personal. And Phoebe's like, yeah, where have I heard that before? Twice in this episode, that's where. Piper then says she's got a date, and she heads off. And then Prue makes me laugh, because she's like, he's a jerk and I hate him and blah, blah, blah. How do I look? Like, she wants to make sure that she looks amazing before heading over to Jack at the bar. So she walks over to him and gives him the wand, saying that it's rightfully his, and starts to leave. But since he didn't pay for it, how is it rightfully his? This is my question.
Well, she can't sell it now.
True.
And
But
technically, because Betty took it home, she removed it from Buckland's inventory.
yeah, okay, fine.
And so it was just Betty's, and Betty had made the agreement to sell it to Jack, and Jack got the money and everything, but Betty is dead? So technically it
Betty
belongs
is
to her
non-existent.
next of kin.
Yeah. Like, Betty is now non-existent.
Yeah, because she died in a puff of smoke.
Yeah. I have so many questions about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he notices that it's broken and thinks that lowers the value of it, but Prue says it's now worth what he was going to buy it for, which I thought was kind of funny. And he asks her to stay for a drink and brag about how she outsmarted him. So she decides to brag a little, and she sits down. And then we cut to Dan, who is being shown into a VIP loungy type thing, where Piper is waiting for him. He is wearing a gray sweater and black pants. They exchange hellos, and then they sit down. And he starts talking about Piper and the handyman being more than friends, and he calls him Leon, which I thought was kind of funny in a petty way.
Yeah. It was intentional.
Clearly. Oh, yeah, totally. And Piper says it's over. And then she notices that he looks a little crestfallen, and she clarifies that it's over between her and Leo.
Yeah.
She's like, no, not you and me, him and me. And she says that she doesn't want any more confusion, and he seems to be very happy with that. And then they kiss, and we pull back through the crowd of people and go to black, and then we get our end credits. So, that brings us to our ratings portion of the podcast. Would you like to go first?
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10 annoying patriarchal tropes.
Alright.
I do not like this episode. Like, I love seeing the actress that plays Tuatha.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Tuatha.
Yeah, I love Miss
And
Bibi.
I definitely not a fan of this chosen one. I think he needs a Hermione to slap him upside the head with a book.
Yeah. I have to admit that this wasn't my favorite of episodes, but it wasn't my favorite for different reasons. I gave it a 6 out of 10 jealousy issues. Because I think this is the only episode where Leo being in it didn't change my score. His jealousy in this episode made his presence in this episode a moot point.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a 6 out of 10 because I would probably watch it again just because of Bridget being in it as Tuatha. Because I just really enjoy her. But to be fair, if I'm going to watch something over again with her in it, it's going to be Kindred the Embraced.
Okay.
So, yeah. Well, Blue is snoring up a storm here. We are on to our outfits.
Yes. I like Piper's shirt at the beginning.
All right.
And I like Phoebe's hair.
All right.
Phoebe's hair is very cute. It's enjoyable.
Okay.
But otherwise, nothing stands out, especially.
Mm.
And we don't have any of those nice Mike pants.
Yeah. So, for me, with Prue, it was a toss-up between the final outfit and the sweater outfit. I legit could not pick between the two. If it was one where I thought she looked the best, it would be the final outfit, that diamond shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's the one that I'd be like, I would totally wear that, it would be the sweater outfit.
Yeah.
For Piper, I liked the black outfit that she had on for most of the episode. And for Phoebe, I really didn't like either of her outfits. I don't know why, I didn't really care for either one. So I guess I will settle for her final outfit.
Mm-hmm.
The red Chinese style outfit.
Sure.
Yeah. But I was not a fan, really, of either. But that's it. That's us done for another week. We are on to social media time.
You can find us at charmchats.com, where you can also find the whole array of our episodes.
Indeed. And I swear the pictures will be up at some point.
At some point. They may already be up.
They could be. They could be, but who knows? And if not, I will have all of the pictures up for each episode by the end of the season. That is my hope and prayer. Or at least before the beginning of next season.
Yeah.
I can promise you that all of the pictures for season 2 will be up on their respective pages before we put up season 3.
Mm-hmm.
I can promise that much.
Yeah.
Right, Blue?
He's like, I'm very cozy.
Yes. You can find us on Twitter and Tumblr under Charm Chats Pod.
Mm-hmm. And yes, we indeed do have a podcast on iTunes.
Yeah, still laughing at that one.
Oh, and guess what, guys? You can email us at charmchats@gmail.com.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
We always love to hear from you.
And we've got an Instagram. We've got Facebook page.
And
we've got a Pinterest that I've never touched.
I have, but I haven't in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get there eventually.
Time has washed your hands of it.
Indeed. So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, those are under Charm Chats. And as always, you can find us on Patreon.
Yes. And, you know, if you like this here little thing we're doing, you might want to contribute a few bucks if you can. It'd be great, because we like being able to do it and being able to afford the bandwidth and the website and everything.
Yep.
We'd love to continue being able to afford that.
Indeed. And we would like to give a lovely shout out to our 2 lovely patrons that we have had for quite a while and are still helping us out and being awesome. And that is Regina and Susanna. We thank you both for just sticking with us and enjoying the randomness of content that I decide to put up on the Patreon page for you.
Yes, it's quite random.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much whatever you cut from the episode that you don't want to trash.
Exactly. It is literally the most adorable of tangents or blooper moments that I feel should be out there in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But you can only get those if you donate, even at the $1 tier at patreon.com/charmchats.
Yeah.
Yes. So on that note, I do believe we are done for another week. So until next time.
Sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite. Or their pythons.
Bye!
Phoebe, Piper and Prue, they've got evil to slay and some potions to brew. So we'll see where it's at. It's week with Kendra and Kat.